Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Stephanie, and I am the head of client relations at Great Builds. If you are not familiar with Great Builds, we offer a free service that connects homeowners with reliable, thoroughly screened general contractors. And then we provide project support throughout the duration of the project to help ensure that you have a successful renovation and a positive experience. So that's what we do. We've been doing a few other webinars, if you haven't seen them, some tips, focusing on hiring good contractors and project tips for ADUs and that sort of thing. But, with this COVID-19 outbreak, we wanted to offer some guidance, some tips, some best practices for keeping your space clean and disinfected. So we'll go ahead and launch right in. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to type them into the question area to the right of your screen. We won't be stopping to address each one as they come, but I promise at the end, we will be sure to get through all of the questions for you. Joining us today is one of the wonderful contractors in our network, Mr. Marc Allen from Shark Restoration. He has agreed to join us and lend some of his expertise to the topic. Hi, Marc. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Stephanie. Happy Friday to you.
Happy Friday, everybody. So, Marc, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your company so we can get a feel for what it is that you do here.
Sure. Well, my background starts with my dad at an early age. He was in the restoration business as well as specialty cleaning business. And he worked for a lot of property managers, and they really liked the service that he offered, the quality of that service. So as a result, he was always referred to their friends, their family, and family members and building owners and other property managers. So he was always busy. And as a result of that, he would bring me along to work with him, get a chance to go out and play on Saturdays because I was working. But the things that we covered, which now I'm thankful for that he did take me out to go work with him, we worked on things such as death and suicide cleaning, smoke damage, specialty cleaning that involved a lot of bloodborne pathogen type stuff, a lot of pretty nasty stuff. So there was a lot of protocol in place for cleaning for this sort of cleaning. And my dad would always stress the importance of safety for the workers, for the public that we're working in, whether it be a home or a commercial business. And to this day, those if you want to call them disciplines, are still in effect, and they still drive our business. And at some point in time, I left the family business and I went to work. I went to work for one of the world's largest cleaning companies. There I received additional training, and also from the training I had, I started training their employees and also setting up certain cleaning systems for them that they weren't doing. And so it just, from there on, things just started to expand for us as far as my knowledge base. And then we took that and started the business. And over the years, we've just been taking all of this knowledge, all of the training, and that's now what we incorporate into our business for our team members, for their safety, and more so to give the people that we work for the end result that they're looking for, and all that's done safely.
Great. So you do a lot of hazard remediation and removal and that sort of thing, right? That's what your company mainly focuses on.
Yes, we come in and clean up a lot of stuff. So whether it be mold-related, asbestos, and then death and crime scene cleanup. So it's and then sewage, of course. That's a big part of our business. So it is pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah,
and that's what we do.
Great. So, we aren't scientists. Marc and I are not infectious disease experts by any means, but Marc has, a ton of decontamination experience that we thought could be valuable in these times, and we wanted to share that with you. So I created a little PowerPoint. I'm going to everybody, and we'll kind of walk through that. So this is just a little visual aid. Marc, do you see the PowerPoint? Am I up now?
I'm the cleaner.
Okay, great. So this is just a little visual aid so we can walk through sort of the tips and best practices we were talking about. All of this has been pulled directly from the CDC website. They're going to be your best source for factual, up-to-date information. As is often the case with these situations, there's a lot of misinformation and deception and opportunistic propaganda that you want to avoid. So please be sure you're getting your information from reliable sources. Here are some sources that I put together, as well as, the respective websites. And then this is Marc's website here. This is our website here. But here's some good places that you can find up-to-date information about what's going on with COVID and the latest. So this virus is, unique in its contagiousness, essentially, is what makes it most unique. It appears to spread much easier from person to person. So that's kind of the danger with this particular bug. And like other viruses, it needs living cells in order to survive. So it does have a shelf life, if you will. It can't live forever on your surfaces, on your belongings. So it's important to take care of cleaning and disinfecting your space and avoiding spreading it different ways. So there's a difference between cleaning and disinfecting here. Cleaning refers to the removal of the dirt, of the germs, of the, impurities. Disinfecting refers to killing it using chemicals on surfaces. So the process doesn't necessarily clean, dirty spots, but it will kill germs that are on the surfaces that you're cleaning. So here is some information about cleaners specifically for effective disinfection. They suggest some household bleach diluted solutions. So you can dilute bleach and use that as a cleaner. If you're going to use alcohol solutions, they suggest you use any with at least 70% alcohol. And then here in the center, we've got the EPA registered household disinfectants. There's actually a list that you can find, and then each product that you buy has a code, and you can compare and make sure you're getting the right cleaning for the right disinfectant for the purposes that you need it for. So obviously at the end of this, we'll share this PowerPoint with you and you'll have access to all these links and everything. Did you want to add something here, Marc, about the cleaners and about the effectiveness of disinfecting?
Sure. This is great that they have this list, and something that we want to keep in mind when we're using products. I always, even in our company, always tell our team members, read the label, follow the direction on the label, take the precautions that the label has outlined, whether that be eye protection, respiratory protection, and especially now where we are in these times, we don't want to spray anything to our eyes or inhale something that it causes us to start having symptoms. We don't want to go to the emergency room now or anything of that nature. So it's really, really heightened that we really pay attention to how we use these products.
Absolutely. So in your opinion, if you're going to be using a lot of these kind of heavy chemical products in a closed space, are there any tips for helping to ensure that, you're staying safe? I mean, I know you mentioned some protective wear. Is it smart to open the windows and make sure that there's airflow coming in? I mean, what else should we be doing if we're constantly cleaning because we're concerned about spreading this virus?
Sure, that's a great question. Yes, if we are cleaning and it's indoors in our homes or even in our business, and especially for businesses, a lot of businesses, you can't open windows. So it's a shared environment depending on how large the building is. And so we really have to be careful with certain products. Some of them have a very long lingering time in the air. And it could cause others to start feeling a certain kind of way from breathing in that smell. I know for myself, I have to be really careful of certain products that are common household cleaners. A lot of restaurants use them, and if I walk in and I smell it, I turn around because I just know I'm not going to be feeling well. Everyone has a different sensitivity to products. We always recommend looking at the label, finding out first how odorous is this thing, how much is it going to start off-gassing once we use it, and then we can make a decision. Is this the appropriate cleaner that I want to use for this situation? And for the home, we can open windows, we can ventilate more, but still it's heavy, so it's going to linger in the air a little bit longer. So I really pay attention to that. As far as the protection, yes, I would definitely say protect your face, protect our eyes, as we mentioned. Be cognizant of who's around and how you're spraying products and what you're spraying.
Mm-hmm. Your pets, careful of your pets.
Yes,
keep your pets safe.
keep the puppy safe, yes.
Sure. Great. Okay. The next slide here, we're just kind of going to go over some basics of cleaning, your home and your own space. Obviously, you want to frequently clean the frequently touched surfaces and the doorknobs, light switches, stuff like that. If the surfaces are dirty, clean them first before you disinfect. They suggest using regular household detergent and water for cleaning, and then obviously moving into these more higher disinfectant applications for really trying to kill the germs. They suggest wearing disposable gloves, like we were talking about with the mask and the eyewear. You want to protect your skin if you're constantly using these cleaners. They can affect your skin as well. So be careful and just be aware. Make sure you're washing your hands immediately afterwards. Obviously, everybody knows wash your hands at least 20 seconds in warm water. That's been going around a lot. I know, Mark, you wanted to touch a little bit on trying to be sure to keep up with disinfecting things as they're coming in as well, because a lot of us, are trying not to leave our places, but we still need food and supplies. And so a lot of us are relying on delivery services to bring us goods. What can we do to try to mitigate bringing in contaminants?
Sure. That's a great question as well, Stephanie. In our industry, when we're working inside a contained area that has a problem, we have what we call a clean room and a dirty room. And in that dirty room is where we decontaminate our tools. We also decontaminate our person, taking off our protective gear, and then stepping into that clean area and putting on our street clothes or whatever have you. For us, our gear is our wallets, our phones, our keys that we use in the world. Today, I look at the world as being our work area. It's contaminated. And our goal is to keep the inside of our homes, our castles clean. So we want to think about when we come in, having, I think you and I had discussed at the door, having possibly some sort of barrier there, plastic or something. Some homes have a mud room. That can be call it your decon room. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting, if you're bringing groceries in, you have a table that's set up and you have your dirty side. You have your products there that you're going to wipe down thoroughly and take your time in doing that, and then set them onto the clean side. And then once you've done all of that cleaning, now we want to consider what is it on our person that we need to clean, whether it be taking all those clothes off that's been exposed to the outside world, putting them in the appropriate receptacle, and then putting on, after we've done our cleaning, and then putting on whatever we're going to put on. And then now moving on to the clean side. And that's a practice that we've adopted. That's what I've adopted in my home. So we look at it from dirty to clean. Sure. And we're trying to separate the two. And it's work, but it's worth it. Yeah. It's definitely worth it.
Right. Okay, great. Then we move on to, a little bit more of a commercial aspect. When if you own a small business or you work in a small business, the facilities need to be decontaminated as well and disinfected. So, again, try to close off. If there's a known sick person to have been in the space, obviously that's going to raise the concern slightly. So you want to close off any areas that were used by that person. Like we said, the virus cannot sustain without living cells. So the longer you can avoid coming in contact with it, the greater the chance that it will not survive. So if you can leave the space as it is for, minimum 24 hours, that can help. And then once you're able to get in there, it's a matter of disinfecting everything, every surface, anything that could have been touched. Obviously, if you work in an office, you've got copy machines, shared kitchen spaces, shared bathrooms. If you work in a daycare center or you own a daycare center, you've got toys, you've got all kinds of eating utensils, things like that need to be cleaned. And then again, be sure to wear the protective gear while you're doing this. Mark, I think this is a good kind of a place to kind of segue into what your company more does specifically in decontaminating commercial spaces and how your services will be really valuable for that sort of thing.
Yes, Stephanie, for the commercial spaces, this is really a detail-oriented type of cleaning for us. It goes beyond just the normal day in, day out janitorial cleaning. This really boils down to we're fighting a bug that we can't see. And we have to treat every surface as though that it is infected. And so it really involves using the proper products, having the proper dwell time, and then just being attentive to all the areas, and then having a method of cleaning. You know, you'll see a lot of cleaning companies that just go and start wiping surfaces down. And if you're asking, well, did you clean over here? No, I think I did. We can't do that with this bug. We have to know that we've started from point A, we've thoroughly cleaned to point Z. And that's really the only way that we're going to have a good clean. We can't guarantee that it's a shot in the dark because we just don't know where it is. But we do the best that we can. Something that we always look at is product that we're using. When we look at the label, a lot of products, they recommend that you apply, but you don't wipe up. You just let it sit and do its job. And those are things we really have to pay attention to. So it's the cleaning is very involved, especially if you're talking about nurseries, if you're talking about office buildings. There's so much detail that goes into it. And there's a lot of time that's spent. There's a lot of protocol that we have to follow. There's a lot of safety measures that we have to set up in order to do that. And really, I've seen companies that are out here doing cleaning, and I've seen advertisements for it. And I see guys with a mask on, with a fogger, and just walking around the facility with normal street clothing on. And if there's issues in that building, they're going to take that home. That's not right. They should be taking the right steps to protect themselves. It's not about them. It's about taking care of our families and taking care of our neighbor. It's a loving thing to do, to take the right steps. And we have to make sure that we do that. If not.
So you know, when you and I spoke about this yesterday, you mentioned that, you know, it's about really each commercial or each project that you go into, you really start with a plan that's specific to that location. So it's not like, oh, here's our services, it costs this much money. I mean, you really go into detail with, if it's a restaurant, then what is the specific plan for decontaminating this specific space, and really coming up with a plan before you start so that you're able to guarantee that you're getting everything, like you said, from point A to Z, from one side to the other. That way it's not just willy-nilly, people just cleaning whatever surface they come across next.
Yes, that's true. We do have a specific plan, depending on what type of business. There are times when we'll bring in a third-party hygienist that will write a protocol of these are the steps that we need you to follow step by step, and we follow that. That is an outside service, that is an outside cost, but I feel that it's worth it because we have, like you said, we have a detailed step-by-step approach to going after this bug, and it's essential. And we don't, and depending on the seriousness of the facility, there's some facilities that we won't touch if they're not that serious about it and they're trying to cut corners. We can't help them. We have to make sure that this is done right. This is serious. We're talking about our lives here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to go ahead and transition out of here. I know I wanted you to share a story about something you recently encountered. Let me end this here. Okay. Yeah, so I know you had a story you wanted to share, and I know we want to get into a little bit about a sort of a story, and kind of segue a little bit into discussing some water remediation as well. It's an adjacent issue, but a lot of the symptoms that come if you have water damage that's left untreated, the symptoms mirror those symptoms of COVID-19. They mirror the you have issues, coughing, trouble breathing, stuffy nose, stuff like that. So, you know, it's important to, another thing that he really focuses on with his company is water remediation and mold removal. And if you have mold in your home, it can cause similar symptoms. And so it's important to make sure that you're taking care of any issues that you may have related to water damage as well. Hopefully he'll be able to come back on soon and tell you more about that. Can you hear me, Mark? Are we just not able to see
I
you?
can still hear you. I don't have video, but I can. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want me to, I can go ahead into that story of.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there was a property manager that called us that we do a lot of work for, and he said, "Listen, this family is experiencing some issues, and we're not sure exactly what it is. But before we really started getting too crazy and saying that it is COVID-19, we need to investigate further." So we went out and we took our moisture meters and our infrared cameras, and we started really looking around and asking questions. And so come to find out, they had, from the last range we had, they had some pretty severe water intrusions going on. And they just didn't know about it. They didn't see it. So this thing was growing day by day. And then until it finally just exploded into the awareness. And then they started feeling, they weren't feeling right inside their homes. They noticed when they left the house that they felt great. And then when they came back, there's just a change. So we looked further, and then we found out that they did have some water damage. And as a result of that, mold grew there pretty quick. And so we had to go in, set up containments, clean up that area, get it back to a healthy condition. And then things got normal for them. The symptoms that they had, they went away. So we were thankful that none of them had contracted COVID-19. It was just the symptoms that they were experiencing, or some of the symptoms that you have when your home's exposed to certain types of mold.
Wow.
So that was, in this case, that was a good thing that it was a mold issue. We were able to clean it up, get it dried down, and then put their house back together, and they could continue living a normal life there.
And people may be inclined to think that they can wait. You know, we've got more rains coming up supposedly early next week, you know, and people may think, well, this is not the time to have professionals coming in and, you know, dealing with this problem. I'll wait, I'll put it off. But that's absolutely the wrong course of action. If you have any water intrusion, you need to take care of it immediately so that you don't develop these symptoms, and you don't want to compromise your lungs, you don't want to get sick, and you don't want to have to be somebody who has to go to the doctor right now. Obviously, we all want to stay as healthy as possible, not only not contracting COVID-19, but not contracting anything, because nobody wants to be anywhere near a hospital or, you know, I mean, I don't want to get sick. So let's try to stay as healthy as we can. And if you do have problems, these professionals are prepared to come and assist and remediate now. You know, they are essential employees. These are essential jobs. And so if you have those issues, please reach out, because, you know, we want to keep you guys healthy. Yeah,
absolutely. And if we have time, I have one more to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. This was for a company that does a lot of house development and property development, a lot of commercial development. And one of their properties, they had a sewage leak that was going on underneath the building. And so every day they would, especially toward the evening, they would really start getting this earthy smell. Then it just had this foul odor that kept creeping up into the building. And that's not good. You know, sewage has a lot of pathogens in it, a lot of diseases you can just imagine. So again, we came out, we investigated, and during all this time, you know, we're practicing safe social distancing and taking all the needed protocols to ensure the safety of the occupant, the building owner, and those that we're meeting with. And so we inspected underneath the building, saw that yes, it's flooded with sewage. We set up a plan to remediate the sewage, disinfect underneath the building. And then the big part was inside the building, being that they had so much of the odor, we had to clean, and we had to clean from top to bottom. So we had to wipe the walls, wipe the furniture, wipe the light fixtures. We had to wipe, in some instances, we had to get inside of wall cavities and to clean and to fog, because the odors were so strong.
If you walked in, right? The tiny odor particles.
Yeah, it's just nasty. I mean, we got to the point in some areas we ended up pulling out the carpet because it was just so close to this crawl space area. But for the main part, and we scrubbed the air in that building, got it smelling good, got it healthy again. But that sort of thing, along with what's going on in the world as far as COVID-19, that's putting one problem on top of another.
Right.
So the takeaway is, yes, COVID is in the forefront. It's what everyone's talking about is what we're dealing with. But the other issues that we experience, which are day-to-day issues with water pipe breakage, sewage overflows, mold water damage, we still have to deal with those things, because if we don't, they go unchecked, then it creates secondary issues, and for our buildings and then also for our health.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate it. I think we've touched on everything we wanted to talk. Is there anything else we missed? I think we got it all.
I think we covered it all.
I think we did. Are there any questions? I'm looking over here. If anybody has any questions, feel free to type those in now, and we can address those before we sign off. I don't see any yet. We're just that good, I guess. We covered everything.
Well, once we close out, then all the questions will come.
Exactly. Well, obviously, anybody who's watching, feel free to reach out to us. You can reach us through our website. You can reach Marc through his website. We'll share the PowerPoint with you, so you have access to all the links and the information to the cleaners, to the CDC, to those websites. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to email us. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch, and hopefully we've shared some information that's been valuable, and we'll hope to be a source for you should you need us in the future. Thanks so much for joining us, Marc. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Stay safe, everybody.